What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. We're gonna talk a little NFL on this video. I got a question to ask all my subscribers and all the people that are watching this video. And you can leave your comment in the comment section with the question I'm about to ask you right now. Who is the best wide receiver in the NFL as of today? Who is the best receiver in the NFL as of right now? I've got two candidates for you, and all due respect to the two that didn't quite make this list. Michael Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers almost made the list, the final two, but he got cut. I had to cut him. And Julio Jones came very close to making it. He probably would have made it, but he's been battling injuries this year. He's still putting up good numbers. And last year, he had some nagging injuries. And in the last 2 years, his team has not been in the playoffs. So lack of success and injuries have disqualified Julio Jones. And Evans hasn't, been on a playoff team since he came to Tampa Bay. But he's had some monster numbers. And he's one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL, Michael Evans. He's one of the most under-the-radar receivers. When they talk about the top receivers, they rarely mention Michael Evans' name. But I want to mention him right now. He's top 4. But I'll rate those two guys just below these two guys that I'm going to mention right now. Now, candidate in no particular order, the two candidates are New Orleans Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas and Houston Texans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. Now, let's compare the stats. The stats I'm going to tell you right now, the stats are favoring strongly, if you're just looking at the stats on paper, strongly favors Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas has 110 receptions through 12 games for 1,290 yards. He has 11.7 average per catch, 6 touchdowns, and his longest reception has been for 42 yards. By comparison, wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins has 86 receptions. Through 12 games, my bad, unqualified. DeAndre Hopkins through 12 games has 86 receptions for 903 yards, 10.5 average per reception. His longest receiving yards to this date has been for 38 yards. He has 6 touchdowns. That's compared. Let's compare. Now, if you look at the comparison, Michael Thomas has 110 receptions. DeAndre Hopkins has 86. Michael Thomas receiving yards this season is 1,290 yards. DeAndre Hopkins is 903 yards. Now, the average per reception is a little bit closer. DeAndre Hopkins' average per reception is 10.5, and Michael Thomas' average per reception is 11.7. So he's got a little bit over a yard better average per reception than DeAndre Hopkins. They're tied in touchdown catches at 6 apiece, and I'm gonna expand on this a little bit more. Now, Michael Thomas through 12 games has had 7 games of 100 yards. Of 100 or more receiving yards. Let me say that again. Let me clean that up. Michael Thomas through 12 games has had 7 games when he's caught passes for over 100 yards. Now, by comparison, DeAndre Hopkins through 12 games only has 3 games where he's had 100 or more yards in reception. So that's a 7-3 advantage for Michael Thomas. So when you look at the stats, you'll say, clearly, JB Sports, Michael Thomas is the best receiver in the NFL. And he got a strong case for that. But the stats tell half the story. They tell half the story. Now, you got to look at impact on the game. Now, we look at third down conversions. What receiver has the most third down conversions for first down? It's DeAndre Hopkins. He's number 1. Now, this could be a wide receiver, even a running back. He'll run out the backfield and catch a pass, and that'd be considered a third down. Like an Alvin Kamara. That's the number 1 guy the Saints use. They don't really look to Michael Thomas, whether it be he's being double covered or whatever the case may be, they look more toward Alvin Kamara. He's their leader in receptions and third down conversions. Receptions on the team. It's Alvin Kamara, not Michael Thomas. DeAndre Hopkins is leading the whole NFL in third down conversions by a receiver. He's number one. Michael Thomas is not even number one on his own team. It's Alvin Kamara. He's leading that team in third down receiving conversions. So you got to look at the stats and you got to look at it. So those third down conversions by Hopkins are impactful because they're keeping the drive alive. He's making those catches that's extending drives, and that's keeping the drive alive and keeping your defense off the field, letting them get rested. So when they come on the field, they can be more effective. So those third downs are very, very key. That's almost like in the NBA. You got a guy averaging 33 points a game, and another guy might be averaging 24 points a game. But the guy that's averaging 24 points a game have 9 game-winning shots, and the person that's averaging 33 points a game has 5 game-winning shots. It's 9-5. Even though the one that's 5 game-winning shots is averaging 33, the person that's only averaging 24 has got 9 game-winning shots. Who's the MVP if you're looking at those stats? If those stats are kind of like the tiebreaker of everything else is kind of even and matching up defensively and field goal percentage, 3-point shooting percentage, and steals and defensive rating, all that add up, and then you look at the points and the impact of the points. That's the kind of where I'm looking at with Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins. The stats clearly with the yards, receiving yards, receptions, and average per catch, and longest receiving yards. And all that is all favored toward Michael Thomas. But if you look at the impact of keeping the drive alive, third down conversion, because if you look at the teams that are leading the league in third down conversion, those teams have the better records in the NFL. Just look at the stats. It's been going on, it's been proven over time again, that if you lead the league in third down conversions, you're going to be one of the teams to have one of the better records in the NFL, and you're going to be playing football when postseason arrives, 9 times out of 10. So that's just what it is, man. It's just very, 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 very interesting. Very, very interesting. Who is the best wide receiver in the NFL? Now, my opinion is I got to give a slight edge to Michael Thomas. The numbers he's putting up is just unbelievable. The man is already almost at 1,300 yards through 12 games. So he's going to easily, on this pace, he's going to easily pass 1,500 yards receiving this year. He's got 4 more games to go, and he's already at damn near 1,300. Hopkins is at 903. I'm thinking when the season is over with, he'll be somewhere close to 1,300, somewhere in that range. And Michael Thomas will be well over 1,500, man, with the way each of the guys are playing and the pace of each player is on. So it's just the stats. He's just all across the board. He's leading the NFL in receptions, and he's leading the NFL in receiving yards. And his per game, his catch, his average per catch is 11.7. That's not super great, but he's a guy that he works the middle of the field. He does a lot of the intermediate routes. He's not a guy that's going to really be going deep that much. They got Ted Ginn Jr. to kind of blow the top off the defense, and they let Michael Thomas work those in between the intermediate routes, the slants, and stuff like that. He controls that area of the field. And the same thing with DeAndre Hopkins, as he works the intermediate routes, works the slants, as they got a guy in Will Fuller that blows the top off the defense. Now, Michael Thomas is working with one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game in Drew Brees, who's been in that system for a long, long time, a number of years. He's been in that system for over 10 years, in the system with Sean Payton. So he's very familiar with that, and he's got a very good vibe with Michael Thomas, a very good rhythm. Another thing, Michael Thomas has the edge in coaching. He has an offensive guru in Sean Payton that knows how to design offense, knows how to move Michael Thomas around to take advantage of the defense that they're lining up with in that particular play. And he's been in that system for what? Michael Thomas probably been in that system for what, 3 to 4 seasons? He's been in that system, so he's very, very familiar with it. Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins is finally with a franchise quarterback. He's working with a lot of backup quarterbacks early in his career. You know, he's working with people like Brian Hoyer, Fitzpatrick, working with him. You know, working with I think he was working with Matt Sharp, them type of quarterbacks like that. Not elite level quarterbacks. DeAndre Hopkins, he was not working with elite level quarterbacks like Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is, you know, since he's been in the NFL, he's been working with Hall of Fame, Pro Bowl level quarterback since he's been in the league, and he's took advantage of that, man. I just wonder what kind of numbers DeAndre Hopkins would have if he got drafted by the Saints. He had to work with since the beginning of his career. He's had to work with Drew Brees, develop chemistry with Drew Brees, get into a good rhythm with Drew Brees. What kind of stats would he put up? Now he's finally got a franchise level quarterback now in DeAndre Hopkins, who is in his third season, and who's looking to do great things, and who's in his trajectory is definitely pointing up. I think he's a future MVP candidate. I think in the next 5 years he's going to win a Super Bowl for the Houston Texans. So he's definitely playing with an elite level quarterback now. But he hadn't had that luxury, you know, starting his career out like Michael Thomas has. So right now, at this point, I would give Michael Thomas the slight edge because of the stats he's putting up and stuff like that, man. The stats are just undeniable. You've got to give him the edge. Everything else being equal. You know, DeAndre Hopkins, like I said, to me, it's at a little bit of a coaching disadvantage if you compare Sean Payton to Bill O'Brien. I think Bill O'Brien is a good, solid head coach. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a bad head coach, but, you know, comparing him to Sean Payton, who's probably the second best head coach in the NFL right now behind Bill Belichick. You know, so that's just a tough comparison. Bill O'Brien is a solid coach. I probably put him somewhere in the top 15 as far as top head coaches in the NFL right now. He's probably somewhere in the middle of the pack or maybe a little bit above the middle of the pack right now. And he's another thing Michael Thomas had. He has a guy he's working with that's coming out of the backfield and running back Alvin Kamara, who's a top 3 running back in the NFL right now. A guy that can catch the ball out the backfield and stuff like that. And stuff that the defense has got to focus on him and where is he at? Where is he lining up at? Because he could be lining up behind the quarterback, or he could go out in motion and line up as a wide receiver. That's what type of that's kind of versatility that Alvin Kamara has. So so Michael Thomas has advantage right there as far as running back goes. Alvin Kamara compared to Carlos Hyde, who's having a good year for the Texans. I think he's about close to 900 yards for the Houston Texans, and he's on his way with 4 games left to have over 1,000 yards rushing. So he's having his best career, but he's no Alvin Kamara. He don't have the versatility that Alvin Kamara has as far as a receiver out the backfield. And as far as a runner, you know, Carlos Hyde is a physical, run downhill type of runner. But Kamara is a guy that can run up the middle and can get outside. So a little bit more versatile as far as a runner and as far as a receiver. So he's clearly working with a more stronger threat that the defense got to work with in running back Alvin Kamara compared to what Hopkins has to work with in running back Carlos Hyde. So with all that being said, I will still get a slight edge to wide receiver Michael Thomas as the best wide receiver in the NFL today, slightly ahead of DeAndre Hopkins. This is how I will have my top 4 rankings, as I told you, the 2 that did make the cut. Number 1 will be wide receiver Michael Thomas. Number 2, very close number 2. It's almost like 1 and 1A, but I had to pick who I thought was the best. Can't give it a tie. Can't do that. Got to pick a winner. And right now, as of today, it's Michael Thomas, number 1. Close behind at number 2 is DeAndre Hopkins. Number 3 is wide receiver Julio Jones, who I think, if I had to remember his stats, I think he got around about 64 receptions for 950 yards. I think he got 4 touchdowns, and he's missed some games. I think he missed at least 2 games this season, so he ain't even played 12 games. He said test through 10 games. Just to think if he was just being healthy. But that's been his plight the last 2 seasons: injuries and lack of team success. Number 4 is wide receiver Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's got over 1,000 yards reception too. I think he got 1,056 yards receiving, 1,056 receiving yards with 66 receptions. His his reception average is higher than Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins. His reception average is 16.6 as he's playing with the ultimate gunslinger in Jameis Winston, who rather get his teeth pulled than throw an underneath route or a check down route. He's always looking to get the ball down the field and throw the ball down the field. And if he gets Michael Evans one-on-one with a safety or a corner, he's going to throw that ball 10 times out of 10. He's going to throw that ball 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. He's going to throw that ball up to Michael Evans. And Michael Evans is a big, tall, physical, fast receiver who's going to win a jump ball every day of the week. And that's what he's been doing, man. Making plays, man. It's just on some bad Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. He hasn't been in the playoffs yet to showcase his skills on a national level. And it's kind of hurt him, man. He's one of those quiet as kept type of wide receivers, man. Under the radar type of wide receivers, man. But I put him at number 4 as my top 4 receivers in the NFL as of right now. So we'll see what happens, man. But if you agree with this video that Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the NFL, leave your comments in the comments section. If you disagree and think it should be DeAndre Hopkins or Julio Jones or Michael Evans, or maybe you got somebody else in mind, maybe another guy. Adam Thielen would be up there too, but he's been battling injuries this season too, and it's kind of short-circuited his season this year. He was making a case based on what he did last season, but injuries has kind of cost him being mentioned on this list now. But he might be another receiver that I fail to mention. I doubt it. I can't see nobody outside this top 4 that really have any kind of argument. I can't even make an argument for Evans or Julio right now. It's a 2-horse race. Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins as who is the best wide receiver in the NFL. So if you agree with my pick of Michael Thomas, leave your comments in the comments section. If you disagree with my pick of Michael Thomas as the best wide receiver in the NFL, leave your comments in the comments section. If you if you disagree with me, man, give me your opinion on who you think is the best wide receiver, and make your case. Bring out some arguments. It ain't got to be just about stats, but just about maybe a particular game, a particular matchup. He dominated a particular cornerback that you thought highly of, or whatever the case may be, or he made this play that you never seen another wide receiver make. It could be anything. When you leave comments, just make sure you leave some facts or something that you can qualify your opinion on. Don't just throw names out there and you ain't really got nothing to back it up. Just because he's your favorite receiver, or he's your receiver in your city, or the team that you follow, the team that you've been rooting for since you was a baby, or whatever the case may be. You need to be presenting some information about why you picked that receiver as the best receiver in the NFL. So that's just what it is, man. My opinion on the situation, man, and we'll see what happens, man. We've got 4 more games left in the season. Looking forward to those last 4 weeks of the season, and looking forward to the NFL playoffs, as this has been a very exciting and fun season this year in the NFL. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. Holla.